Everybody, we are in the armor of God. Week 2, day 4, right? Walk this way. Walk this way. Okay, I just aged myself, right? So she quotes Charles Spurgeon. He says discernment is not a matter of simply telling the difference between what is right and wrong, but rather it's the difference between what is right and almost right. Okay, so this is right, and I see where you at. You there, but get over here to the right. Almost right, but get all the way over here. It ain't about what you think is right. It's like you kind of right, but we need to be over here where it's all the way right. Right? We need to be following the light. Okay, so she talks about Second Corinthians. Sister Shirer talks about 2 Corinthians 11 and 14, which says we need a way to expose the one who disguises himself like an angel of light, because he ain't no light. He just old nasty, funky, miserable devil. He miserable. That's why he wants you to be miserable. So she says, if we reference Ephesians 5 and 13, where all things become visible when they're exposed by the light, for everything that is becomes visible is light. We need to be under the bright light. Where is that from? Bright light. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna stay out the 80s. Okay, I promise you, I'm gonna try to stay out the 80s. So she gives a reference to, like, if you ever traveled before, you go to TSA before you go on that plane, right? And you give them an ID. Now they always put the ID under the light. They hear what you saying, that this is you, but we're going to check to see if this is real or if this is fake, right? So our deceiver operates in darkness, and he hopes that we will too. As long as we're stumbling around in darkness, not really sure what is true and what's not, we'll never be able to see him for who he really is and detect the underlying intentions of his plan. All right. So we need the spotlight to be piercing through the darkness. You ever seen on the movies where they got that light shining? Or if you ever, so let me tell y'all, I have a special needs brother. Well, he's no longer with me and he's on the other side. But I remember, I used to try to get him to go to sleep, right? And then so I would have my cell phone and I would be laying beside him, and I'd be like, Lord, please let him be asleep. Cause I'd be trying to get out. And I was trying to get him on the schedule. My mom had spoiled him, and boy, I need to get that boy together and go to bed. So I would be reading looking at my stuff on my phone, and then I would take my phone and put it on his face to see if he was asleep, right? And he would be looking at me. Them shiny eyes would be looking at me. That made me think about that. So here I was. The truth was, you thought he was asleep, but he was still up with you, looking at you. I'm looking at you, looking at whatever you looking at. You think I'm asleep, but I ain't asleep. All right. So the truth is the light. And when we shine that light, we get the revelation. So the revelation was that my brother was not asleep. And that's the revelation that we need to look at that. Right. The enemy ain't asleep. You think he's asleep? You think he ain't watching you? Turn that light. Get in the darkness and turn that light. Boop, there he is. You'll see him looking at you. All right. Satan is a master illusionist. He pulls the wool over our eyes, causing us to think happiness exists where it doesn't. Okay. That security is offered where it isn't. He makes evil appealing and righteousness boring. He makes evil appealing. So why you up here doing what you doing? Them songs about doing what you doing, all of that stuff, all of that evil stuff people be caught up in, he makes that appealing. And righteousness boring. It is boring to be saved. I don't want to be saved. Let me wait till I'm older. Let me get all this foolishness out, and then I'll be saved. I don't want to be married now. I don't want to live in the will. I ain't trying to get married right now. I'm out here trying to get this Skrilla. I don't want to be having somebody telling me what to do, where to go. I ain't got the time to be checking in. I'd rather be out here in these streets being single. I don't want to be in covetousness. I don't want the bride. I don't want all of that. I don't want no husband. I don't need nobody telling me what to do. I ain't trying to have sex with the same person for the rest of my life. I ain't trying to do all that. Let me tell you something. That's where evil is appealing and righteousness is boring. Okay. Then entices us down a dark path that leaves us addicted, joyless, and empty. That's why, here we go. That's why spouses feel justified in having affairs. or a young adult can be convinced that she won't be harmed by playing with immorally with fire. Okay, why a business person feels an excuse for making a less than honorable deal. Somehow the enemy creates illusions in their minds that they are the exception to the rule. Okay, we think we the exception. So think about feelings, what she says. So feelings change. Emotions are unstable. The right movie and the right music, the somber storyline can bring tears. Okay. But we just caught up in our feelings. So we need to change our minds. And sometimes we need to change our minds day to day. Why? Because our consciousness is a part of our humanity. It's frail and it's susceptible to sin. Significantly can be shaped by the things like our environment, our parents, our teachers, our circumstances. But when the Holy Spirit awakens in us, it causes our conscious mind to be born again. So that's where born again takes place. That it takes place in our conscious mind. Okay. And then we can get on over to where we need to be. Right. So then she talks about Moses and how he didn't rely on his own understanding. He relied on God. So, but then there was a time that he did rely on his own feelings, his own understanding, his own experiences, and whatever that was, instead of following God's instructions. I'm not getting paid for this, clearly, but I don't know if y'all watched Netflix had this story on Moses. It is a blessing. And it just, for anybody that's being called to do something, just listening to how God just reached out to him, to take him, to hold him, to show him how this is what you need to do, and how everything was. See, we be thinking we be falling into success. You know, it was just like I was thinking about something, and then boom, it just happened. You know, people be looking at people and just say, you know, they were an overnight success. But when you look at the story of Moses, how God has strategically did all of these things that led him up, like he needed to know, he needed to be connected with Pharaoh. He grew up with Pharaoh. That's how he was able to talk to him. You think the average person could have gone to Pharaoh and been like, let my people go, and constantly be at the ear to even listen, for Pharaoh to even listen to him? Pharaoh knew Moses personally. And see, that's a part of the story that I don't think I knew about. So a lot of times, you know, y'all, we need to understand how to walk. We need to understand how to walk, and we need to be under the light. Okay. We need to be abiding in the word. We need to be holding on his teaching. We need to be faithful. That's how we get to the promised land. What is your promised land? You need to figure that out. Okay. That's day 4 of week 2 of the armor of God. Everybody.